Hey everyone, today we're checking out Ayaneo's sub-brand Konkr's new Pocket Advance. This handheld, a GBA tribute, features a MediaTek G90 chip and a 3.5-inch 3:2 960 by 640 display. It can 4x pixel-perfect GBA. Since mine arrived late, this review is a bit delayed. Many of you have likely seen other reviews or even received your own units. So in this review, I'll focus on key questions you care about. First, what's the difference between the 3G and 4G versions? I have two, a 3 plus 32 and a 4 plus 64. Is the 3G version enough for Android? How does it affect performance? We'll see in a moment. How's the screen quality? How does it compare to the original GBA? We'll also compare it to other open source handhelds. Alright, let's get started. This is the Konkr Pocket Advance, KPA. Before its release, my primary GBA console was always this Pocket Micro Classic. Both units share the same 3.5-inch 4x pixel-perfect display. I enjoy playing GBA on this handheld for its superb display, the satisfying button feel, and the pure, joystickless experience. But this handheld has a fatal flaw. It's too pricey. Originally $12.99. And since it's been discontinued, the price has soared to over 2,000 yuan. The KPA brings this 3.5-inch 4x pixel-perfect screen to the 499 yuan price point, offering much better value than the Ayaneo Micro. The handheld uses a MediaTek G90 processor. Let's check its Antutu score. It's 470,000. The 3G model scored 450,000. The G90T is almost as good as the G99, which scored 540,000. With a performance score of 470,000, this handheld plays GBA games with absolute ease. We can load various complex shader filters, achieving complete shader freedom. Beyond that, its performance is perfectly capable of handling other retro consoles. With this performance, it could handle some PS2 games. But lacking joysticks, I still don't suggest it for PS2. This 4x pixel-perfect display's quality is top tier for GBA. Next, let's compare its screen with other handhelds. To be fair, we'll set the shader to dot. First, a comparison with the original. Mine has a high brightness IPS screen, but the KPA screen is still significantly brighter. With the dock shader, the KPA screen looks fantastic, showing a nice dot matrix effect and accurate color reproduction. It truly is a top-tier GBA screen. Compared to the 3333's 3x pixel display, the KPA screen is brighter, with more vibrant colors and higher contrast. Observe the bright and dark areas. The 3333's contrast isn't nearly as strong. Now, comparing it with its own Ayaneo Micro, both screens are identical, but I sense there's a slight difference in their color tuning. The Ayaneo's micro saturation seems a bit more intense, while the KPA's is slightly subdued, which I find actually looks much more pleasing. Compared to the KTR2, which has a 4.5-inch screen, I think 4.5 inches is a bit too big for GBA. Since GBA games have a 240 by 160 resolution, blowing them up that much makes the pixels look too chunky. I think 3.5 to 4 inches is the best size for playing GBA. Now let's move on to the handheld's other specifications. Its body design emulates the GBA, which feels quite comfortable in hand, allowing fingers to naturally rest on the D pad and buttons. Its D pad and buttons use soft conductive rubber, requiring little force. The D-pad size has been enlarged compared to the original, but remarkably, even with this increase, it doesn't look out of place. A larger D-pad generally offers a much better tactile feel, which is great. The shoulder buttons also use conductive rubber. They have moderate force, and to ensure they register, there are two contact points underneath, so it triggers precisely no matter where you press. It has L and R 2 microswitch buttons, plus LC and RC multifunction buttons. Here's the power button, and another multifunction button. At the top, you can also see the heat vent. This handheld has active cooling. The air intake is on the back, with a dust filter underneath. Grip areas have anti-slip textures. This nameplate below has retro elements. You can see the charging is 5 volts 2 amperes, and its battery is 4,000 milliampere hours. Both sides feature anti-slip strips. On the bottom, you'll find 2 speaker grills, a microphone, a TF card slot, a Type-C port, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and a wonderfully retro rotary volume dial. However, I've found that if you rest your finger here, you might accidentally adjust it. It's better to place your finger in this groove below. Next, let's discuss a common question. What's the actual difference between 3G and 4G? After using it for a while, I've noticed that 3G and 4G versions offer similar smoothness under Android. For gaming, there's really no difference at all. 3GB is plenty for running these retro console games. The biggest difference in their use is in storage. The 3 plus 32GB version, after the system, leaves only 20GB of usable space, while the 4 plus 64GB offers 50GB. If you only play GBA games, the 3 plus 32GB version is enough. No extra TF card needed. If you want other retro games, 3 plus 32GB isn't enough. You'll need a 64GB card. But 4 plus 64GB saves you from buying it. This time, I prepared a 64GB package. With the 4 plus 64GB, it fits directly into internal storage. For the 3 plus 32 version, you will need a 64GB TF I'll post the game pack tutorial in my next video. If you're interested, please subscribe. And now, we'll dive right into its gaming experience. This is my installed Pegasus and APM2 config. Mr. Da Huangxiang should release a KPA-specific configuration pack. We'll install it once it's available. First, let's look at arcade games. Since this screen is 3:2, 4:3 arcade games will have small side borders. Mr. Da Huangtian made some really nice bezels for us. These bezels can map to the sides based on the screen's brightness, just like the borders on the arcade machines we played as kids. GB games. The GB overlay is super classic. My very first Game Boy handheld was a GB, and I spent ages playing Pikachu on it. GBC effects. I remember the most iconic GBC model was blue. GBA. Well, that goes without saying. Full screen, 4x pixel display, no overlays needed there. That's great! It's extremely responsive. The KPA's D Pad and buttons are quite soft to the touch, so if you appreciate a more gentle feel on your handheld gaming devices, you'll likely find this very pleasing. Now, let's check out some NES games. Test Contra for cross-keying. Mash D-pad. Yep, no accidental inputs. Now for the PS1 games. Mr. Da Huangtian's bezels are beautiful yet subtle, not too flashy or distracting, and very pleasant. Now, NDS games. Now let's test its limits with a PS1 game. Currently, with no frame rate adjustments, the frame rate fluctuates between 40 and 50 frames per second. Okay, now let's set the frame skip. Set it to -3 for slight downclocking. And now you can clearly see the frames per second display has turned white. About 35 frames per second. This processor actually plays quite a few PS2 games. But this handheld lacks both analog sticks, so some actions are impossible. I don't recommend playing PS2 on it. Now let's look at 3DS games. With this handheld's performance, you can actually emulate 3DS games at 1x speed. But without an analog stick, the controls are still a bit of a problem. That's all for the KPA handheld review. For $499, this handheld provides a top-tier GBA experience and incredible value. Next, I'll make a tutorial showing you how to install the 64GB game and Pegasus configuration packages. If you're interested, feel free to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.